What's good? Today I'm doing a semi late breaking YouTube update with you all about April Griffin, my sister, a domestic violence and rape victim. She originally was supposed to go to court April 29th in relation to this fraudulent sham prosecution, the criminal aspect of it. The so called civil aspect of the Ugandan rapist trying to whisk her child from this country is scheduled for April 26th, which is this Monday, before a different judge, although it's all a collusion. Now, this past Thursday, they tried to have April plead guilty in the jail, these criminals in the courthouse. They have now rescheduled it to attempt to have April plead guilty on the same day she goes to court fighting for her son Jesse, who is with the Ugandan rapist unlawfully. And I want you all to know that Thomas Donegan, Deanne Hurd, and Taiba Sethi, that's the so called judge, the so called prosecutor, and the so called attorney. April has filed motions to recuse them all. They've ignored her. They're all defendants in a civil RICO complaint, class action, about them racketeering, and as it relates to one case, April. And they're all still participating in this prosecution. That will make them stakeholders, wouldn't it? They have a private interest in the outcome of this case. They're conspiring to defraud an innocent victim of her child, her money, and her liberty under all means necessary. They have violated her due process rights. They have suspended her constitutional rights. The Speedy Trial Act is non discretionary, meaning once it's violated, there is nothing but a duty to dismiss a case, whether the defendant can prove uh, prejudice or not. She's repeatedly asked for a trial. She's being coerced into pleading guilty. And that leads me to a number of different things. I was going to play an audio that you all will hear very, very shocking, but I think I'm going to hold back on that just a little bit more. But the audio itself is very, very shocking. Oh, believe me, it's going to be played, but not at this point in time. Right now, I'm going to read some things that black judges have said about the judiciary. I wanted to read these things when I did another Watergate update for you all. But I'm just going to read you some of the things that black judges on the benches have said about the judiciary and what they've been subjected to, and why there is a need for diversity, especially the so-called African American. Uh, Leon Higginbotham Jr., judge, I believe he's deceased now. A minority judge should be very concerned about the aspects of the system that work unreasonably and harshly against blacks and others who have historically been treated unfairly by the system. If minority judges do not speak up about these concerns, it gives an satisfaction and approval illusion. Having minorities on the court achieves two things. It offers an enrichment of experiences that one can use to examine issues, and it gives the public the impression that the process is not exclusionary. Lots of people think the barriers and oppressions in terms of vigilante groups or individuals who wear hoods like the KKK. America has been perpetrated by individuals who do not openly hate like the KKK, but who refuse to open doors they have the opportunity to open. I have learned that the person who is polite can be a more of a barrier to equal access than the one who calls you a nigger. And that is what's going on in the courtroom now. They're pretending to be polite with April after their gimmicks didn't work to have her psychiatrically declared incompetent, a rape victim, after he Thomas Dunnigan laughed at her when she cried about being raped and what have you, after Taiba Sethi, the so-called attorney representing her in open court, talked about her very disparagingly and about myself in front of several people before court started. A district attorney who knows she doesn't have the what happened? You have a district attorney. It froze up on me, you all. So I don't know if you all heard this or not. Sometimes when you do a automatic upload, the webcam freezes. So I hope that this turns out the proper way that it should be. Bruce Wright, another judge, said racism in the court is camouflaged by politeness. Racism is camouflaged by judges not saying nigger, I'm going to give you the maximum. Racism is camouflaged by judges acting as though everything is okay, everything is equal, but making up their minds in advance. Racism is camouflaged by judges indulging their preconceptions, basically based purely on racial things. Law and not justice is what is emphasized in America. Most of the judges are white and male, like Judge Thomas Donegan, a white male judge, basically about 4'2", who has an ego that is 3 times his height and size, who thinks he has the right to violate the rights of a rape victim, uh, offer false evidence into the court proceedings, and refuses to recuse himself when it's mandated by law. Why do we have people like these on the bench? Why do we allow people like these on the bench? We are the people, whether they like it or not. No, the Constitution was not uh, first originally designated for people such as myself, people such as a color, women, and the so-called minority. But we are protected by it. So who gives a damn if you don't like it? But you have to respect it. And we have to fight for what's ours, you guys and women. And the point of the matter is, look at the case of April Hope Precious Griffin, of rape and domestic violence. She's been violated by Ugandan, violated by Michael Gooley, who sold her child, a white male judge, violated by Thomas Donegan, another white male judge who was ignoring her rights, violated by Taiba Sethi, who purports to be of a colored background, but she's a white woman. She's married to a man of a colored background. She's conspiring, and it's not a so much of a race thing, but then again, it is. Because had April Griffin been a white woman, this would not have gone as far as it has. There is no equality in the courtrooms. You weren't set free by Abraham Lincoln. You fought for your freedom. Read the Emancipation Proclamation carefully. It did not free the slaves. The slaves freed themselves. Bruce Wright said, there has never been, nor is there now, a level playing field for blacks and women. We have been fed a history filled with lies and distortion. I have testified against certain judges for their blatant racism. I have filed formal complaints against judges. The prisons we see blacks and Latinos going to are not the Nixon Watergate gang was sent to. They're not filled with tennis tennis courts and swimming pools and wonderful libraries. With blacks and Latinos, we specialize in custody and ignore rehabilitation when it comes to the poor. This judge even said he was told by a white colleague, you know, if we ever had slavery in this country again, I would like to own you. And this is the situation with April Hope Precious Griffin. Thomas Donegan, Taiba Sethi, Michael Gooley, the Milwaukee County District Attorney Office, they are looking at April as if she's a nigger and they own her. And they own her nigger son. And this nigger Ugandan is helping them. We need to continue to expose these slave stockholders and fight. Hang together or hang separately. This has been a YouTube update.